There we go. Hello, everyone. This is Brad Glasgow with Game Objective, and I have with me Oscar Gonzalez, also with Game Objective.
Yo, I'm
And
here.
Welcome to the Game Objective podcast number 2. The difficult, controversial week version. Okay.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Let us broadcast our link to everyone, if I can find it. And then we will get going. So how was your week, Oscar?
It was good. We got hit with a snowstorm up here in New York. So that's first for me.
Oh, that's right. The first snow.
Yeah, they from what I learned, I mean, it was about 10 to 12 inches of snow, which deal here in New York. But what happened was that the heaviest snowfall was coming during the morning commute, and that's why the night before they decided to cancel like everything. So it was a snow day.
Nice. Mm-hmm. You now you're originally from Texas, right?
San Antonio, deep in the heart of Texas, where the last time it snowed more than an inch was 33 years ago.
Wow.
32 years ago, back in 85. That's when it snowed. I think it snowed maybe 6 inches. Because the city doesn't have any of the infrastructure to handle snow at that time, the whole city was shut down.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, it's always one of those things as a kid where like that was the worst way to start remembering winter, because that was my first winter I really remembered. And then no snow after that.
Until just now, just today, or a few days ago in New York?
I mean, pretty much. I mean, there's been other snow days, but this was a big one. But yeah, there's hardly any snow that happens in San Antonio. If it is, and most, it's going to be just on your car. And yeah, you could grab some of it and make a little snowball, but that's about it. Mainly the city, the common thing that happens in the city is that it'll be icy. The streets will get icy. But
sure,
that's about it.
Yeah. And that can be dangerous. That can be legitimately dangerous in the South, the ice. But mostly when I hear you Southern type people talk about, and by Southern type people, I mean Southern Americans, not Hispanic Americans, please. When I hear that, I laugh a little because I am from northern lower Michigan, right along Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan is just a couple miles west of me. And because it is just a couple miles west of me, we have what is called lake effect snow. The weather picks up water from the lakes and it dumps it back down over land once the clouds get over land. So we get an average of around 10 feet of snow per year. Yeah. So it's...
Yeah, my uncle's from Chicago, so he tells me about that. But in the same sense, us people in the South, we make fun of everybody up north whenever they complain that it's 90 degrees outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it only hit 90 degrees a couple days this summer. So yeah.
For a couple of days, New York was hotter than San Antonio. It was and it's makes it even worse in New York because all the subway stops are underground and they're like 20 times. I mean, they're 20 degrees hotter.
Yep.
So you're just baking underground.
Yeah. Well, this has been old men talking about the weather.
Yeah, I think my knee's acting up from the weather.
My week. Oh boy, did I have a week.
Oh yeah, you had something happen.
I had something happen. On Wednesday, I finished my article. And to go in a little about my writing process, what I'll do whenever I write an article, I go in head first when I write an article. I get all the research done. I get everything written down and all my notes together and all the images I need. And so it's, it's kind of a big push. And then once I finish the article, I read it over real quick, do a little quick editing, and before I go to publish it, I want to take a break away from it, because I always take a break, come back to it, and then I figure the article's crap, and then I totally edit the whole thing. I finished an article and on Wednesday, and I had an egg salad sandwich, just a normal little sandwich. And then I just felt this pain. Oh my God, right under the bottom of my sternum, so the bottom of my rib cage. And this was a pain I had not felt. Well, I dislocated my knee a long time ago. That hurt worse, but this pain was getting close, and it nearly put me on the floor. I was breathing hard and could barely breathe, and I thought, oh God, I need to go to the hospital, and I'm with my breathing, I might just pass out. So I better call 911. And I think that's the first time I've ever called 911. And yeah, they came over, and of course they were worried about a heart attack because it's kind of close. It wasn't a heart attack, but by the time I got into the ambulance, the pain was almost done. So they took me to the hospital, put me in the room, and I'm feeling pretty much fine. I kind of think, well, maybe it's just some really weird, unusual gas or something. And I figured, it's nothing. And I had a cousin of mine work at that hospital. So I was thinking, she's probably going to go home soon, so maybe I can catch a ride with her. So I walk out of my room in my gown and to go talk to the doctor to see if he can call my cousin. And he says, no, you need to get back in that room and wait for me. So I said, oh, okay. So I go back in the room and sit there for another 20 minutes. And he comes in and says, we think you have a bad gallbladder. We need to take it out today if possible. If not, then tomorrow. Whoa. Okay. So yeah, they said, if you eat or drink anything again right now, this same pain could come back. Oh, wonderful. This is it started about 2:00 and this is about 4:00. So I couldn't eat or drink anything, and they decided to keep me in the hospital to keep me hydrated and keep an IV in me. So I stayed the night in the hospital, got surgery the next day. The pain was pretty bad still, so I got to stay in the hospital another night. And I live broadcast from Twitter, which that was fun. I was pretty high on hydromorphone at the time, but I think it came out okay, except I think I covered the mic with my hand on my phone. But yeah, that was it. That was my week of pain. I had surgery and no more gallbladder. They actually had these stones. They showed me the stones while I was in recovery, and they were like an inch big. They were huge. He said they were not in the top 10% of size that he's seen, the surgeon said, but they were in the top 20%. And they were jagged too. They weren't smooth. He says they clash together, and so they get solid edges. So it's really awful. But now I'm here without a gallbladder. My pain is decreasing. Here we are a few days later. I'm on Vicodin every once in a while, but not much, and I'm getting back to normal.
Oh, that is a story.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So that's why you didn't see any content on the site last week, and I apologize for that. You will see content this week, I promise you. I promise you'll actually see a bit of content. You'll see a couple articles and a video. We'll see.
Yes, and a podcast.
And the podcast. The first podcast went pretty well. Oh, by the way, we are going to get this podcast up on iTunes. There was a bit of a problem with it last week, but I will figure that out this week. Tomorrow, I will figure that out. So, okay, well, why don't we get into our topics of the week?
Sure. So, well, I mean, should we go into your little tit for tat that's been happening?
Yeah, sure. That's been a fun time on Twitter today and yesterday. All thanks to Notch. Thanks,
Yes.
Marcus, for retweeting
Great guy, but
getting me in trouble.
Yeah, it does put a big spotlight on you.
Yeah, that's
right. Okay. So what did you tweet that caused this whole stir?
What did I tweet? I tweeted about Patricia Hernandez. Yeah, well, I don't even remember. I tweeted about Patricia. This is nothing I haven't tweeted 500 times before, where I've pointed out how an article is crappy. I pointed out Patricia Hernandez's article about, what was it even about?
I
have it right
how
here.
People have a certain alien race that they want to bang in Mass Effect.
Some fans already want to bang Mass Effect Andromeda's new alien.
There you go.
Yeah. And it was filed to humor. So a lot of people thought, well, it's a funny article. It's fine. And, you know, I'm mostly okay with that, filing that. But to me, that article is just dumb. I mean, who cares who wants to bang who in a video game? I guess some people care, especially BioWare fans. That's often pretty much all they care about is who they're going to be able to bang. But this whole banging aliens, I mean, if you look at Patricia Hernandez's history, or if you look at Kotaku's history, and Kotaku just the other day posted an article by Nathan Grayson where he chided the developer for saying that for having only women able to give birth to children in the game. So I don't know. I see a very inconsistent gaming media on the topic of sexuality in video gaming.
Oh, that's putting it lightly. I mean,
yeah.
My annoyance, because this is something that delves into. She's the culture reporter, editor for Kotaku, and Kotaku's supposed to delve into culture. The problem is that if your beat is like, hey, let me find all the sex stuff happening in video games, I don't know. There's part of me that just says, okay.
Oh no, you're cutting out. Oh, your Wi-Fi might be out. We'll see if you come back. Well, until you come back, I guess I'll talk. This might be a short podcast. Anyway, what I see the inconsistencies with game media here is that they invariably, and they all think pretty much the same, they invariably think that a game like The Witcher. Oh, are you back?
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm here going off and on and on and on, and I look and I see my little Wi-Fi off.
Oh, no problem.
I was like, thanks a lot. Okay, so where did I cut off?
You were talking about the inconsistencies of games media,
right? So I mean, what this article basically amounts to is just, hey, Rule 34 is in effect. You know, there are people making porn out of a new video game character.
Oh, and now you've gone completely. But yeah, I agree. This is Rule 34, and that seems to be a very silly thing for a professional writer at a professional writing studio to talk about. I mean, I don't mind, I guess, talking about it. Here he comes back. You're having problems, Oscar.
I know. Crap.
We were talking about Rule 34.
So Rule 34, and there's really like a fine line when it comes to stuff that's designed to sort of titillate, and stuff that's designed to be meaningful. And right now, there's this sort of trend among trendy gamers in that the sexiness sort of, no matter how you get to it, if there's a little sexiness and it's a little weird, meaningful, which it's not. It's just, it's the same thing as all the tracer porn that happened when Overwatch came out.
Yep.
This is the same thing, but this gets a little bit of a pass because there's an attempt to try to make it meaningful. It's an attempt to make a joke. If this happened with tracer porn, I mean, everybody would flip their lid. But no. It's a Mass Effect alien, so it's not a human female. It's an alien. That's weird. And in thinking about having sex with alien, that's weird.
Yeah.
So that makes it special, which it really isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I had Ben Kuchera retweet me. English is hard. And he said I am confusing sex with criticism and sexism and basically everything.
He just said you're a horrible person.
Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, he says he says, I think you're confusing sexuality, sexiness, sexism, criticism, and perception of gaming in some really basic ways. Which is a really passive-aggressive way of dismissing. Just you're just an idiot.
I think he's confusing actual definitions because none of those are even remotely related to each other.
Right? Yeah. And then he asked me for examples of games writers treating sexiness. Where did they? Examples of someone complaining about sexiness in games. So I filled a tweet as much as I could with the 140 characters with, I think it was about 5 articles from Polygon where they complained about The Witcher 3. They complained about, oh God, what else? Several other,
they
Grand Theft Auto.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. Bayonetta. Anytime there's an attractive woman in a video game who's scantily clad, that is automatically sexism. And I don't understand why is that sexism? Why is it not okay to titillate straight male players who, presumably straight male? Why is it? I mean, they think it's bad to presume that your audience is a straight male player, or hell, let's say a lesbian, or anyone who appreciates this. People appreciate sexy characters in games. They appreciate sexy men. They appreciate sexy women. It doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman. They can appreciate that. You want to see good-looking characters.
Well, so this kind of reminds me, back when I sort of put it out there that another thing that's going on is that a lot of and this is mainly from female writers, journalists, that they sort of delve into what are essentially yaoi fantasies. You know what a yaoi is, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So what I mean is, because yaoi, I know a guy who runs the San Antonio Anime Con, and the yaoi panels are always the biggest because it's just filled with women. And the thing is with yaoi is that it's becoming so big, and what's happening, and this happened with Civil War, is that people want to see Captain America and Bucky kiss, and it's like, why? And they say, well, let's just explore and blah blah blah. No. Women have this different sense of what titillates them, what excites them, and yaoi is one of those things. Hence why it's so popular. It's their hentai.
Sure.
And because of that, that's why they want to see all this kind of yaoi fantasy. There was a South Park episode about it. Yeah. And it's just exciting to them. And it's just, nature for them. There's a different thing that gets women off than men in most cases. So this is kind of, again, that same thing. Like, Tracer's butt is bad, so it needs to be removed, the pose. But hey, this alien looks kind of hot. He's purple. He's got a monocle. Man, imagine banging that alien, and it's like, well, Tracer's butt is bad because that's been the norm
Sure.
that guys have been appealed to with butts and tits, and that is the norm. But here's different. This is different. This is strange.
Yeah.
This is going to a different realm. So yeah, so making Nathan Drake butt naked, that's going to be different than what Tracer's doing, when it's really not. It's, in all cases, it's still just stimulating the sexuality of a person. It's just men are stimulated very simply, big boobs and butts.
Yeah.
Women have a little something extra, and because women haven't been appealed to for so long in that sense of a way, this is kind of them sort of fighting back. And of course, people are kind of saying, oh, well, that's special. No, it's not. It's just them getting attractive. It's just like 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
That's just female porn. That's all it is, but that attracts women, and that's why, that's why it's so popular.
Yeah. Now, I would not have had a problem with Patricia Hernandez's article if it were consistent. If they talked about female characters in the same way, that'd be perfectly fine with me.
Yeah, that's not going to happen because again, that's the norm, and the norm is bad.
Yeah. And the problem I have with all these sites, and this is a much bigger problem than just the sexuality thing, is that all of these writers are the exact same. They all think the exact same. They all agree with each other. They are a clique, as some have said. They band together, and of course, you see by the response I've gotten to this one little tweet where I just say, "Hey, this article's stupid." This is crazy. If you're putting out an article as a writer, you should be prepared to have somebody come from out of the blue and say, "Hey, this article is stupid. I don't like it." That happens to you as a writer. So deal with it. Jesus.
And it makes the content boring. I mean, yes, the norm is boring, but if the alternate version of it, if it's all the same, it's still just as boring. During the 90s, if when 1,000 bands sound just like Nirvana, that eventually gets boring, even though Nirvana was great. Yep. There's a point where even being, again, just going against the norm, going against the stream, you're really not special. You're just trying to be special.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So that was a fun 24 hours for you.
Yeah. It's been a fun trip. Thank God for Vicodin. That's all I'm going to say. Thank God for Vicodin.
Oh, if only I had a couple of those.
Now, I'm going to need another Vicodin here for this conversation because you're going to be breaking my heart because we're going to be talking about E3.
I didn't know you never went to E3. Call me crazy.
I've never been to E3. Oscar gets on and we get on our messenger and he says, "Hey, you've been to E3, right? How many times have you been to E3?" I've never been to E3.
I here you are with game politics, and then you're a freelancer. I figured, dude, he's got to be to E3 at least 2 times.
No, never. I mean, for one, it's an expensive trip.
Yes.
And game journalism isn't, especially freelance game journalism, isn't exactly the highest paying profession out there. I would love to go.
It is.
I would love to go. You have been.
So I went 4 times, and each year is interesting. Well, let's start by why we're talking about this. So E3 opened up to the public this year. First time since the 90s. Back in I forget, 95, I think, it was open to the public in Chicago.
Oh.
I have to check. But it was open to the public one time. I remember because there was I forget, it was a Game Pro, but I remember reading it and I see a bunch of kids and I was like, those fucking kids. But it was open to the public one time, and because it's a trade event, it's designed for developers to show off their wares to the 2 most important people for developers and publishers, and it's not journalists. The 2 most important people are investors, so they can get more money, and buyers of Best Buy and Walmart's. Okay, if you go to E3, there's a line for journalists. It usually has several people, and it takes forever. And then there's a line for investors and sellers, and those you get personal courtesy person. You get your own little, you get your water, you get your drinks, they food, they put you up in a nice place, and you're treated like a king because you're giving them money. The journalists don't mean shit to them after a while.
Yeah.
So the infamous Super Bowl of video games is being open to the public. The tickets are $150 for early bird, which is today.
Today, yes.
Mm-hmm. And then it's going to be $250. It's going to be. They haven't given a lot of details yet about it.
Right, it's going to be open to what, 15,000 people?
Right, 15,000. They're not going to have access to the press conferences because those are invite only, and Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, they're not going to invite you to it. There's behind closed doors stuff that they're not going to have you go to anyways. Jeff Keighley, he's the one that's really pushing for this.
Oh, really?
He's apparently working with the ESA to get this going, and. Jeff Keighley said that there's going to be some panels and then there's going to be some other events that people can go to. So yeah, you could get an E3 experience without having to file for press credentials.
Yeah, like everyone used to, just make up a fake press credential. I remember hearing from people talking about that, how they make up fake credentials to get in. And they would often get in.
Well, I heard from someone. So I went the 4 years. So the first year was 2010, and this was a year after because there was the 2 years where they were invite only E3.
Yep.
None of the small sites could go. It was only the big sites. It was in a hangar in Santa Monica, and it was boring. There was no excitement. So in 2009, they opened it up to the smaller press again. And then in 2010, that's when I was able to do it. And back then, you needed a website, you needed an email with the website's name, and you needed a business license or a tax ID number, which the tax ID number is free to get.
Yeah.
So I was able to submit that. And they're like, all right, how many people you want to go? And I got people that are working on my site and kind of help with me on other stuff. And all right, we're all going to go. So I got 10 people to go.
Oh, geez.
And we went. We went to a couple of the press conferences. I lost my ID in a cab, so that freaked me out. That was like hell for about 12 hours. And so that was crazy. The following year, the people that decide who goes to E3, they put in some restrictions. Your site has to have so many hits, and they use a different website for the hits to gauge it. And so a lot of less sites went, or like in my case, I only get 3 people to go. Following year, only 2 people, and the following year, 1 person, me.
Oh, wow.
So it was less and less people because they were just getting more strict with the traffic.
Yeah.
But in general, I mean, this is, I've seen some reporters complain about it, and all in all, this is going to be a bad idea. I know it's going to be great for those people that have never been to E3, but this is going to be horrible, I think, all around.
Really?
Well, because with just industry people, that place is packed.
Yep.
It's the LA Convention Center. There's 2 big halls filled with, companies. And you have, because developers if you're within the industry, I talked to a guy who was a developer for like children's learning software. So they're not showing anything there, but because he's a developer in software, he was able to go.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a lot of those people that are going just because they can, and they're coming in. They're basically there as a fan, and you have other people just being fan as well, and then you have all the journalists and industry people, just tons of people, and that place gets packed, and then you're gonna throw 15,000 more people on top of that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be nuts. And as a journalist, that makes everything way harder on you.
Yeah.
Because for a one-man team like I was, you're carrying all your equipment, you're going back and forth, and now you're going to be battling through crowds, you're going to be trying to get around people, you're going to be you're going to be trying to face a place to sit down. It's not going to be pleasant. And also for the people that are buying tickets. I mean, I know they're expecting a great E3 experience. I don't think they're going to get it because there's very few demos out on the floor.
Yeah.
Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, they have like 20 demo setups for their games. But none of the bigger titles. It's a lot of the smaller titles.
Yep.
And then all the other big developers, publishers, Capcom, Bethesda, they'll have a few. Square Enix has like 12 or so. But aside from those big publishers that have like 15 to 20, unless they change things around, which it may do, they're not going to have a ton of setups for people to play, and it's not going to be for the great games that people are expected to play. So you're going to have like a lot of mediocre games, or you're going to have to wait in line to play a game, or even worse, wait in line to watch a game.
Yeah. It's part of the industry hasn't really done. It seems like they're going away from demos as well. I mean, on consoles, of course, there's still a lot of demos, but on the PC, they're quickly becoming extinct.
Yeah. But in this case, I mean, all these setups are money, because this is, I mean, not only the equipment for the actual setup, but the actual software. That requires them to have someone specifically build that demo from whatever part of however far they're in the project already. They have to take one of those builds and put it in a system and create a whole setup, and that's money to them. Yep. And I mean, it's gonna be exhausting for everyone. I'm glad I'm not going.
Yeah. Well, there's usually enough live reporting from there, and you usually get enough directly from the big companies that I don't really feel much of a need to go. Although I would love to go at some point, but I won't be going this year either.
Well, I mean, hopefully next year we could try out for it.
Yeah. Well, the site will definitely be big enough by then, anyway.
I mean, and one of the cool things about it, though, is that I mean, when you go to the press conferences, those are great. You get some personal. You can set up appointments with developers. Like one year, I was talking to the Konami guys on Metal Gear Rising, which had the Platinum people there, and then the guys from whoever did Silent Hill. So I'm there with like 3 or 4 other reporters. So this is like interesting, time that you get with these developers who are there to just answer your questions. So that's something you could rarely get at, say, a PAX.
Yeah.
I can't talk to Platinum Games at PAX because they're never there, but they're at E3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, do it or don't. It's not going to be pleasant.
Yeah. True. Now, one of the problems with that stuff too is that there's a good article about this that was published some time ago, talking about the problem with the game industry and the media in general, where the game industry isn't like other industries because they are so successfully able to control the amount of information that comes out of their studios. I can't go through Ubisoft and find some information that other reporters can't find. That's just not going to happen. They have that stuff padlocked down. They control the information, and of course, since they control the information, a website isn't exactly difficult to build nowadays. They could publish all their information. They could publish their previews. They could publish their videos, their screenshots. They could just totally take away the job of a game journalist very easily. They don't need a game journalist. Especially when they have people already wanting their traffic. So that makes things difficult for a game journalist to actually have much of an effect on the industry and on these people. That's why coverage is mostly the same, is because, well, we're mostly restricted with these guys. So that's one of the problems that we all have to deal with.
Yeah, and then again, that comes with the industry. I mean, and it really, there's such a big thing in regards to access, that getting cut off by access is considered such a big deal when it really shouldn't. I mean, it should be the other way around. That's what, like the New York Times is all about. It's like, hey, New York Times to give us a bad review. We're gonna not pay for you to go see a movie again. All right, well, we won't review your movies. No, please. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah,
and it hasn't gotten there yet because, I mean, there's always just something to kind of stop that, and that's the shame. But again, like I said, it's what we try to figure out.
Yeah. Okay, so if you are interested in going to E3, let us know. We'd definitely like to talk to you guys. If any of you are just going to do it through the public, then maybe we can work something out with, have you write an article for us or two. Let us know how it goes. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. I would love to see how people's reactions after E3. And there are some people going on about how, this is going to kill reporters and whatnot. It really isn't. I mean, when PAX is around, I don't get good content from everyday YouTubers. I usually just get, hey, here's my cosplay pictures. Hey, here's my day out at PAX. I mean, that's what you get. You don't get it from the everyday person that just, has a YouTube channel. You need people that actually know how to produce content to actually make content. And everyday persons, I could do that. They're just going to run around in circles, say, I'm an E3, I'm an E3, I'm an E3.
Yeah, well, it should be interesting to see how it goes this year. It's at the end of March, I believe.
What is?
No. When is E3? When am I thinking? No, March.
March is first full week of June.
Yeah, March is GDC.
Right, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Let's talk about what has happened during before my little health ordeal. Salman Rushdie, and this is just a comical situation. I think it will be. Salman Rushdie of Satanic Verses fame is writing a book using Gamergate as a plot device. He is writing about somebody who, well, I don't know if it's somebody or some people who are anarchists, I believe, or, well, they're on the inside of a Gamergate like movement, and they're technically savvy and they're knowledgeable, and a whole bunch of stuff happens. This is not a real life story. This is fiction based on Gamergate. A lot of people on Kotaku in Action, the Gamergate subreddit, and a lot of people on Twitter, Gamergaters, were a little bit excited about this, and I don't think they should be. They were excited because with Satanic Verses, Salman Rushdie criticized Islam. He went against the norm. He's also apparently friends with some famous skeptics like Ayaan Hirsi Ali. I believe he was friends with Richard Dawkins. So
and probably Hitchens and Bill Maher, of course.
So people think that he may treat Gamergate fairly. I think there's almost no chance in hell of that happening. It's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen because writing about a typical Gamergater, and let me be clear, a lot of people in Gamergate, what I would call a typical Gamergater is someone who is actually concerned about ethics in journalism. They want good gaming media. They're a hardcore gamer. They are not a harasser, though there are, I believe, harassers within Gamergate who have supported Gamergate. But I don't think that's the typical Gamergater. But I don't think the typical Gamergater is a very exciting subject to write about. You don't want to read a novel about some heist where it's planning by a guy who is going to write to Intel to boycott them because they advertise on Gamasutra, So I think, even if, and it's a big if, even if he treats Gamergate fairly, he's going to have to sensationalize the story. And that's going to make things a little odd. I think the more likely version is, the Gamergate villain. And of course, my book will be titled The Villains of the Internet, Understanding Gamergate. But Gamergate is a pretty good villain. These misogynists wearing these masks on Law and Order and going after these women developers who are just trying to make it in an industry against all odds. They make a great villain. And so I think that's probably the likely scenario that's going to happen in this book. And Gamergaters might not be happy. But then I read in Salman Rushdie, his last book, released September or something last year, is only sold about 4,500 copies. So his books aren't exactly like the Satanic Verses anymore.
Yeah, he's still writing that whole being on a hit list by radical Muslims from back when.
Yes,
he's still writing that wave of publicity.
Yep.
But I'm with you in regards to that. I mean, this could be a whole, not CSI, Law and Order, episode where they take it from the headlines, and the headlines say this because certain journalists decide, everything's horrible and everything's 10 times worse than it actually really is. Then that's maybe how he goes. I mean, the fact is, I like right now I was listening to, there's a comedian I love. His name is Kurt Metzger. Okay. And he is definitely, he's very sort of, he's anti-feminist, although he wrote for Amy Schumer and this and that. And he is knowledgeable in a lot of different stuff. But when it comes to Gamergate, he's just like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And he still says a lot of false things that are obviously because he's read the articles that people that wrote false things put out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to get the real story, they're going to have to dig, and who knows if he's going to dig enough. It seems unlikely.
Yeah. And digging into Gamergate is, I know from experience, it's a challenging proposition. I mean, it's you can be met with, of course, people within Gamergate know about the different factions within the movement. Some are very nice. Some are a little more hostile than others. Some are extremely mistrustful of anyone and very mad. While others are perfectly kind and just want to talk to you and will give you 1,800 words when you ask a simple question. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I can't wait to read it. I know it's either going to be epically bad or surprisingly good, and either way, it's going to be a treat.
We'll see. I have to say, one of those things about the whole Gamergate thing. I mean, since I watched it all go down from literally hour one, is that it's amazing that once you're in the inside and you see everything go down, how much wrong stuff gets posted, how much disinformation is. I look back to when I listen to the Joe Rogan podcasts, and there are people that are like he had people that talked about how sugar was good for you and fat was bad, and he talked to a reporter that broke that said no, sugar is worse, fat is actually okay for you.
Yep.
And that reporter, he was like, I'm here surrounded by people that I know are lying, and I'm having to try to tell the truth, but no one wants to listen because they're looking at me as a crazy person.
Yeah. It's difficult to break narratives, and writers want to write a story. They want a beginning, a middle, an ending. They want a good guy and a bad guy, and they want somebody who they want redemption. They want people who have learned from their mistakes and a lesson was learned that day. So it's really hard to overcome that, especially in today's media. So
I would have discussions. I would have my ethics professor, and because he wanted to know about Gamergate, and we would have talks. Because I tell him I would basically be his little reporter about it, and he would say the same thing.
Yeah,
and yeah, this is going to be that story that goes on, and it's hardly any truth to it.
Yes, there's no stopping that train, as they say. All we can do is report on it, and that's what I'm doing. I'm still progressing on the book. Well, I haven't progressed this week, but I'm still going, still chugging along, hoping to get it done eventually before it kills me, before I lose any more organs, especially. So let's move on to let's see, this might be our last topic, I think. Valve is getting rid of Greenlight. Now, you've read this story. Do you want to update us on this?
And yeah, so, but I may be lagging.
Yeah, you are lagging.
Let me know.
Yeah, you're lagging. I'll take over for a minute. Valve is getting rid of Greenlight, which is the method they have for developers to get their products on Steam. And they're moving to Steam Direct, where developers will be able to sign up directly and have their game put on Steam, but they're going to have to pay a fee. We do not know what that fee will be yet. We don't really know many details yet at all. This does not mean, of course, that some people haven't lost their shit over this. Some people are concerned that this is going to shut out developers, of course, that they're not going to be able to pay a fee if it's something like $5,000, for example. How is a small-time developer going to pay that? A lot of these developers are just one-man, one-woman shows. So a $5,000 fee would be rather crazy. So we'll see how it actually works out. In the meantime, Kotaku and Polygon reported on this, and they reported some of the people who were freaking out a bit. And Jonathan Blow, who he created Braid, I believe, a popular game developer. He called Kotaku and Polygon out, not calling their websites fake news, but calling their articles fake news, or at least one particular article fake news, which is, of course, a rallying cry of late. He disagrees with their reporting and thinks it's a little absurd. To quote people, one of them, I believe, was Rami Ismail, who is, of course, all over the news on this as much as he can be. So, we'll see. Is it worth freaking out? I don't know. I think we need to just wait and see the details and see what happens. It'll be interesting.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's so. I mean, back before Greenlight, Steam was they it was very heavily curated.
Yes.
It used to be a big deal you got on Steam, and only per week maybe 6 games. If you're in any title, you would be lucky to get in there. So that's just the way it was. But then Greenlight came out, and of course there was all these campaigns that started happening.
Yep.
These campaigns about trying to get in and greenlighting and all these shenanigans that happened, and it was a lot of games to get in, but also allowed a lot of trash to get in. A lot of developers that were screwing over gamers got in and stealing artwork. So for the small developers, needing a new platform that's going to get them, more exposure. But I mean, Valve had to do something because that Greenlight was just getting way overblown.
Yeah. They have a ridiculous number of games on there now, and it's hard to figure out what's what in there almost at times.
And it just didn't make sense the way everything worked. It no longer had any way of dealing with it. It was just put your stuff on Greenlight and maybe you'll get through.
Yes.
We'll tell you.
Honestly, they need to move to a system just like our legal system needs to do, which is go to the Game of Thrones legal system where you can request a duel and have a champion fight.
Trial by combat.
Yes, exactly. Trial by combat. Is your game good enough? Well, that depends on whether you have an undead mountain of a guy who, is willing to kill somebody. That I think that is only fair.
Yeah, because Go. Funny that we mentioned him, Nathan Grayson. He wrote an article about how it's hard for developers to get their stuff being seen.
Yeah,
and that's happening. I mean, it's very hard to get any exposure when the only time a new game gets shown on Steam is when you release this week.
Yep.
So it's kind of diminishing the value of Steam to developers when they get on and they can't sell shit because no one sees their shit. So it's like this very tough decision on Steam to make it harder to get on to where it makes it more valuable to developers, or do we keep it the way it is to where developers can get on and don't sell shit?
Yep. And any choice they make in this situation is going to be controversial, of course, because they have a monopoly on pretty much everything. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I know some developers are going to be upset, but there are so many independent small games coming out now. You just can't keep up with them. No developer, no matter how rich, and Valve is as rich as anything, is going to be able to keep up with the number of independent games that apply to their service if they don't have some process for weeding out the chaff. Mm-hmm. So some people aren't going to be happy.
Look at Steam right now. I mean, it's not easy to wade through to find a good game.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, I think we are almost done here. We just need to talk about our upcoming week. As we said, we have articles, both of us coming out. Your first Game Objective article, an editorial, will be out hopefully tomorrow. Is that correct?
We'll shoot for tomorrow, if not Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay, tomorrow or Wednesday. Yes. And I will have an article and an accompanying video, which is going to be the first time. This was at your suggestion. Thank you very much. We're going to try and do an occasional quick video recap of an article. So hopefully those will get shared around YouTube. it's a little easier to get stuff shared with a video sometimes. So we're going to give that a try. And my article is about the number of women who are gamers, the number of gamers who are women, actually. What proportion of gamers are women? Is it 50%, like the ESA says, or is it much less, which is the more likely scenario? So, of course, there's a bunch of data to back that up, and I'm going to present that in the article and the video. And you are writing about The Division, which you briefly mentioned last week. There are some writers who compared The Division to Donald Trump's America. And The Division is your game of the year. You are cutting out. Oh, well. Oscar, are you still there? I see your picture, but oh well. So next week, or no, this week, look for Oscar's editorial about The Division, and look for my feature about the number of gamers who are women. That could be a little controversial. We'll see. We'll see. We'll try and make it a controversial if it's not. That makes things more fun. So until next week, we will be continuing our podcast next Monday, and we will still be around on Twitter. You can follow me at Brad_Glasgow. Give our site a follow. Subscribe to our site on YouTube. On Twitter, it's at game_objective. And Oscar's Twitter is at OG Reporter. Also, if you go to gameobjective.com, you can see our YouTube channel, our Twitter, and what else? Oh, our Facebook. We are now on Facebook as well. We put a little behind the news stuff. I put some logo examples that we tried out, and so make sure to follow us on Twitter as well, or on Facebook. Oscar, are you back yet? Nope, he's not back. His Wi-Fi has been having problems. We'll get it fixed by next week. I promise. He's completely lagged out. So, well, thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. We look forward to talking with you all next week. Take care and have a good week. And may you all keep your gallbladders if you have them. Goodbye.